The following video includes a conduction of an oculomotor exam. Briefly before starting the conduction of the exam, I will discuss why each test will be used and how the test information should be interpreted. The 6 tests listed here will be the tests completed in the video. The first test, the spontaneous nystagmus test, is a test that assesses the central vestibular system by determining if a patient has any nystagmus when the head and eyes are in a neutral position. Abnormal findings for this test would be nystagmus or possibly saccades. And as mentioned before, this is a test for the central vestibular system. The second test, the smooth pursuit test, is a test of the central vestibular system as well. It assesses the patient's ability to accurately track a visual target in a smooth, controlled manner. Abnormal findings for this test would be nystagmus or saccadic eye movements. And as mentioned before, this is another central vestibular system test. The third test performed in this video is the saccade test. This test assesses the patient's ability to accurately move the eyes from one designed focal point to another in a single, quick movement. The ability to accurately perform saccade testing assesses the patient's central vestibular system. A normal finding for this test would be 2 saccades or less. Abnormal findings would, of course, be more than 2 saccades. And as mentioned before, this is another test for the central vestibular system. The fourth test performed in this video is the VOR cancellation test by way of the rotary chair test. The purpose of the VOR cancellation test is to assess the patient's ability to suppress the vestibular ocular reflex while rotating. VOR cancellation testing can be used to test the central vestibular pathways and allows the clinician to see the patient's VOR suppression. A failure to sufficiently suppress the VOR can be an indicator of a possible central pathology. Abnormal findings for this test would be saccades and possibly nystagmus. And as mentioned before, this test is another central vestibular system test. The fifth test performed in this video will be the head impulse test, which is a test that assesses the vestibular ocular reflex, the VOR. This reflex is helpful to maintain corrective eye position during any change in head position and to correct the eye movement rapidly so that the vision remains on the target. This test is used to assess the peripheral vestibular system, and a normal response to this test would be the eyes remaining on the target after head movement. An abnormal response to this test would be the eyes dragging off the target during head movement, followed by corrective saccade back to the target after the head is moved. As mentioned before, this is a test for the peripheral vestibular system. The sixth and final test that will be performed in this video is the dynamic visual acuity or DVA test. The dynamic visual acuity test assesses the vestibular ocular reflex function in response to rotational or functional head movement stimuli. Therefore, it is a peripheral vestibular test. The dynamic visual acuity assesses visual acuity during head movement relative to baseline static visual acuity. An abnormal finding of this test would be a reading error in greater than 2 lines. Of course, a normal finding within this test would be a reading error of 2 lines or less. All of the tests mentioned before are used to assess a patient's vestibular system, but it is vital for clinicians to understand the difference between central vestibular testing and peripheral vestibular testing in order to accurately pinpoint where the lesion may be.
So hello, my name is Sheldon Smith. Today we'll be performing an oculomotor exam. I'm a student physical therapist at Winston-Salem State University, and this here is my patient. I'll let him introduce himself.
My name is Jacob Jayala, date of birth August 2nd, 1995, and I'm the patient.
All right, so we can have a seat here, Jacob. So the first part of this exam, we'll start off with what we call spontaneous nystagmus. So pretty much, Jacob, what I want you to do is stare at where my nose will be in my mask. We'll wait about 5 to 10 seconds, and we're looking for any like saccades or nystagmus. 5 to 10 seconds has gone by. Next, pretty much what we'll be performing is a smooth pursuit. So pretty much, Jacob, what I want you to do is focus on the tip of this pen for me. I want you to keep your head still, and I want you to only follow it with your eye. We'll start here. And again, we're looking for any saccadic eye movements or nystagmus. So the next portion we'll be testing is for saccades. Pretty much, Jacob, what I have you to do is I have this pen and my nose about 18 inches away from you. I'll say pen, I want you to try to focus in on the pen tilt. I'll say nose, I want you to focus in on my nose. I'll say them interchangeably, and I want you to use your eyes to look at whatever target I'm speaking of. I want you to hold your head still, and I want you to try to do it as fast as you possibly can, okay? Pen, nose, 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 pen, nose. Okay. So this portion of the oculomotor exam, we'll do a test that cancels out the vestibular ocular reflex. It's known as the rotary chair test. So pretty much, Jacob, what I have you to do is I'll place your head in a certain position. I want you to like put your thumbs in front of you. I want you to focus in on your thumbs without like moving your head, and I want you to like stay focused on your thumbs. I'm gonna like rotate the chair, and I want you to try to stay focused on your thumbs. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is kind of bend you down. We're gonna flex the head 30 degrees, and you can also bring the thumbs down so it'll be in the same plane. I want you to stay focused on here. Okay, Jake? It might cause some dizziness. If at any point you get too dizzy, just let me know. All right? So now we're looking for saccades, nystagmus or dizziness, any symptom reproduction. Don't see any. How you feeling right now, Jacob?
Pretty good.
All right. Okay, so the next test that we'll perform is called the head impulse test or thrust. So pretty much, Jacob, what I'll do is I have you to focus in on where my nose will be. So it's about here. I'm gonna grab your head here and I'm gonna hold you now. And I want you to just focus in on my nose. I want you to relax your head, and I'll just kind of provide like a quick like turn. It won't be painful or anything. It might make you a little dizzy, and if it does, just let me know, okay? Looking for nystagmus or saccades. So the next portion of the oculomotor exam will be a DVA test, dynamic visual acuity, pretty much testing the patient's vestibular ocular reflex once again. So pretty much, Jacob, what I'm gonna have you to do is I'm gonna hold your head in a certain position, and I want you to read as far down in this chart here as you possibly can. After we complete that portion, I'll like move your head to a certain rhythm, and I want you to try to reread the chart once again, and we'll see where you end up in the chart. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. It may cause some dizziness. If at any point you get too dizzy, just let me know. So I'm just gonna take you here, hold you down about here, and I want you to read as far down as you possibly can do.
SVZDK.
Okay, could you read the next line under?
The next line underneath it?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So pretty much now, Jacob, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play a beat. You can just relax your head. I'm gonna move your head to that beat, and I want you to try to read the chart again, okay? As far down as you possibly can.
ESRKNCKZOHONRJPKZBBCDFGHDKCRC. That's it.
Okay. So Jacob, initially, we made it to this line here. You got stopped, like you couldn't read the line above, so you stopped at the line like 2 lines above, so you're in within normal range. So yeah.
That concludes the oculomotor exam. Thanks for watching.